My hair is gross, hence the hat. Just watched the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, so let's talk about that. Okay, pretty boring weekend all around, if I'm being honest. Before the weekend though, Alex renewed his contract with Williams. They have a multi-year contract, which I hate when they do that, just like say how many years, but whatever. I think it's a smart move from both Williams and Alex, because that means that he'll stay with them at least till 2026 with the regulation change. And I think it's a smart move to not have a new driver for 2026, so that when it comes, the regulation change will be the only thing that they need to learn. Like, for example, if they would sign, or any team would sign a new driver, whether from the grid or a rookie or something like that, in 2026, that team would need to adapt to the new regulations, while the new driver needs to adapt to F1 potentially, or the specific team that he's in. I also think it's good for Alex because not that Williams is like the best team right now, some would even say that it's the worst, but I think it's good to build a team around you, kind of like Max have with Red Bull, Orlando with McLaren, or Lewis had with Mercedes. And I mean, the new regulations in 2026 are like more engine dependent than aerodynamic, so like Williams has the Mercedes engine, which is very good, so maybe they would be better then. But I do think this is Logan's last year in F1. Unfortunately, I think his time has come to an end. I don't feel like Williams trust him, and he's not like performing really well or anything, but I don't think it's gonna be like a mid-season thing like with Nick de Vries. Not at all. Like, there has been rumors that Kimi Antonelli would replace him mid-season, and I don't think that's a possibility at all, or a smart thing to do, like even if it is an option. Again, not like because Logan is doing well, but because it's not smart for Williams to get a rookie right now mid-season who isn't like Kimi's doing fine in F2. He's not having a stellar season or anything. He hasn't won yet, which doesn't mean anything really. Obviously the hype that's around him is around him for a reason. I mean, he did like skip F3 to go straight to F2 from original Italian F4, I think. So he's obviously a good driver, but I don't think he's good enough for F1 right now. And I think promoting him to F1 would be a mistake for both Williams with like an unexperienced driver, but also for Kimi, whose like development is going to be cut short because of that. Like, you shouldn't reap those drivers out of their development programs prematurely. I think that hurts both the driver and the team that they are going to. And I don't know who Williams will sign for next year, but they better sign someone for 2025 and 2026 because just like the reasons I just said. Another thing that happened pre-race is like pre-weekend is that Xavi, I don't know how it's pronounced. Xavi, I've heard Charles say it, which was Charles' race engineer, is replaced, which like I don't know if it's a good thing yet, but no longer will we hear we are checking plan F. We'll come back to you, box, stay out, stuff like that. He looks really sweet, his new race engineer. And while we're on the subject of race engineers, I want to say that I really love Pierre, who is Danny's engineer. I don't know, he just seems really sweet and he's very encouraging over the radio. I don't know, I like him a lot. There was also a lot of upgrades brought to this weekend by a lot of the teams. I honestly didn't really pay attention to that, so I'm sorry that I don't have like full details. I know Ferrari had like a big upgrade package, and yeah, some other teams also did. So moving on to the actual weekend, free practice, all three were eventful, kind of, maybe somewhat. Like, a lot of people went off to the gravel in some places, and Red Bull seemed to be struggling. I do feel that the fact that this isn't a sprint weekend and the fact that we had like 3 free practices made it more boring than usual. Like, I didn't appreciate the sprint format until now, I think. It just makes the weekend more eventful. Yeah, I didn't think I would say this, but I'm a fan of the F1 sprint format. But anyways, moving on to quali. I don't know what's going on with Alonso lately. It's not just this weekend. I feel like the past few races he was on the back low, isn't performing as well. I don't know if it's like something with the car that he doesn't like or like doesn't get along with, or I don't know, just something with him. I don't know, but he needs to sort that out. Nico Hülkenberg, who has never raced here, which sounds like a lie that doesn't make sense like in my head, went P1 for like a few seconds there in Q1, but like right at the end of Q1, so like he did an actual like good lap, like amazing lap. I'll search the timing for you right now. Okay, Q1, Nico did a 1:15.8, which I think got him like P2 like at the end of Q1. So that's really cool. He's very consistent with qualifying, I have to say. I think it's like the third Q3 appearance for him in a row. And I don't know, he's just really good at qualifying, which is why I said last week that I think he's a decent driver who deserves a better car. And yeah, I wish him a very good luck in Sauber or Audi or whatever. Yuki was very strong the whole weekend. Free practice as well. It was, wait, I'll have it. In FP1, he was P6. FP2, he was P3. That's right. Yeah, we unlocked the Yuki top 3 graphic. Oh my god. I love... I feel like I'm like collecting Pokemons or something like that. Like there are rare ones and like common ones with a top 3 graphic. So that was very nice seeing him on that. And then in FP3, P13, okay, less strong, but still quite strong. And then in quali, he qualified P7, which is very good. Out-qualified both Daniel and Checo Perez. Also, Daniel did also qualified Checo, but oh my god. And Lewis Hamilton. What? And then the race. Oh my god. I am signed in. He finished P10. So a point for Yuki. Great weekend for him. About quali, I would also love to know how they calculate the estimated knockout time, knock-off time, whatever it's called, where they say, so we think a 1:16.8 is the knockoff time. So anyone who is over that time is not safe in Q1 or Q2, whatever the session is. I would love to know how they calculate it. Did we have any more surprises with quali? Oh, yeah. Okay. Max got pole by like... Oh, wait. I'll tell you. Why isn't it written down? Oh my god. Why do I need to do it myself? 820 minus 746. He got pole by 74 thousandths of a second from Oscar Piastri with the assistant of a toe from Hülkenberg. So honorary pole goes to Oscar, by the way. But then Oscar got a 3-grid penalty because he impeded Magnussen in Q1. Oh my god, he could have... Oh my god. I mean, I think Oscar is having a very unlucky season, which is such a shame because I do think he has improved on his performance from last year. I feel like he deserves better. So yeah, that was everything that was interesting with quali. I mean, Max did complain a lot throughout the whole weekend, which is classic Max. Classic Max complaining about everything and anything and then getting pole and winning. Although this time it was very close, even in the race, which we'll get to in a second. And it does seem that Red Bull needs to be wary about the other teams. I think everyone's taking a step ahead and Red Bull should worry about it. So yeah, Red Bull, count your days. So the race, pretty boring until those last like 10 laps. It was a very strategy dependent race because overtaking is really hard in Imola. So it all came down to like undercutting and overcutting someone. Although we did have some pretty overtakes throughout the chicanes, which were nice to look at. But yeah, mostly strategy. We did have a softer compounds than last time we were here. Like last time, which was in 2022, because last year there were floodings. It was the C2, 3, and 4 for the like hard, medium, and soft. And this time it was the C3, 4, and 5 for the hard, medium, and soft. So I think they did that to... I actually don't know, so never mind. But I think some people thought that this would maybe go to a 2-stopper, which would have made like the strategy more interesting. But no, it was a 1-stopper. And pretty boring until those last 10 laps where Lando picked up the pace and got so close to winning the race again. I didn't actually believe that it could happen, but my heart was racing nonetheless. The commentators also gave me a lot of hope. They were getting excited, which made me excited. But I was like saying to myself, no, it's not gonna happen though. It's not gonna happen. So like, why are we entertaining this idea? But it was really close. It was really close. If there were a few more laps, I think he could have maybe done it.
I mean, it's always if, right? If my mom had balls, she would be my dad. So, yeah.
In the first stint, the pace just wasn't there for the McLarens, and I think the Ferraris as well. Like, this is a lot of people really anticipated a good weekend for the McLarens, which they had. Like, they had a pretty good weekend, and the Ferraris, which again, both teams had pretty good weekends, just not as good as everyone thought. So like 10 laps to go, Lando starts picking up the pace like crazy. He, I think, was like 6 seconds behind, and by the time they finished the race, he was 8/10, I think, behind. I'm pretty much sure this is the closest gap between P1 and P2 in a race we've had in a long time. And again, Max seemed to actually like fight for his life in those like last few laps. I was honestly kind of hoping Max would get a 5-second penalty for track limits, which he was on a break of. He got a black and white flag, because like even if Lando caught him up, overtaking is really hard on this track, so he might have not being able to actually make the overtake. Kind of like Oscar was stuck behind Carlos for the first stint of the race, which I feel like he gets that a lot. He's like stuck behind people all the time and like not being able to overtake them. Oh my god, it seems so frustrating. I mean, I don't know how he keeps his cool, which he does very well. So props to Oscar for not losing his mind. I am astonished that we didn't have a safety car. I mean, there was like 100% possibility of one, and I know that in F3 they had like 6 safety cars. Oh my god. And in F2, in the sprint race, I haven't watched the main race yet, there was one with a huge accident like in turn 1 that took like 5 cars out. So I'm very surprised nothing happened like on that aspect of things, but I'm also glad. The only car that has retired from, I think, technical issues. It was Alex, who had like a shit race. He had a really bad opening for the weekend in FP1 where he had engine problems. Both Williams struggled a lot this weekend, I feel like, with technical issues. But then in the race, Alex had a very early pit stop, which I'm not sure like why they did that, but whatever. And one of the wheels tires didn't, like, it was loose or something like that. So he came back round, went off again, got a 10-second penalty for an unsafe release, went in back again, served his time penalty, went out again, went in again, and retired. Like, after he went out again, after a 4th pit stop, I think, he then came in and retired. Oh, what a nightmare. Oh my god. Sounds not fun. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that happened this weekend. Next week is Monaco. I have no idea how they drive there. It's so tight. We'll talk about that next time though. Enjoy these memes. Bye!